Chinese cars are flooding the UK, but are they actually a serious alternative to the big brands, or are we only considering them because they're cheap? Really cheap. This Leapmotor T3 is 10 grand less than a Fiat 500e. That Jaecoo 7 is literally half the price of a Range Rover Velar, and that BYD Seal is about 5 grand less than a BMW i4. But is that enough to make you buy a car from a company that you've literally never heard of, and are they actually any good? So today we're going to look at the Chinese take on a city car, a saloon car and an SUV. I'll be looking around them and test driving them to see if they're worth considering to save yourself a chunk of dosh over the more established alternatives. To start, let's look at the electric Leapmotor T3. These start at £15,995 and come with a 37 kilowatt hour battery that has a quoted range of 165 miles. It produces 94 horsepower, which is sent to the single motor driving the front wheels. It's the second cheapest fully electric car on sale. The Dacia Spring is £1,000 cheaper, but that has less than half the power, does 25 less miles on a charge, and doesn't come with a screen or a sunroof. The tiny little Leapmotor, now this one, the T3, is the smallest car on sale in the UK today, and it is quite small, but it is a 4-door, so it is better for people who want to get in the back seats. It's quite a cute little thing. I'm getting kind of smart car vibes. Felix said A-class headlights, got a bit of that going on. It's quite a cute little thing. We'll have a look at the wheels and tyres. This one is a repping, what we got? Continental Ultra Contacts and proper alloy wheels all around. So Continentals, it comes with good tyres as standard, which is nice. No, not any budget stuff. Nice alloys and disc brakes front and back. So no drum brakes here. We've got proper brakes around, which is nice. Yeah, it's a small little car. It is a city car. We are on the countryside, but it's compact and it's a nice, I don't think it's a bad looking thing for a city car. Should we have a look in the boot? Let's have a look in the boot. I'm not expecting big things from boot space. Let's have a look. Oh, hang on. I'm always interested to see whether when you press the boot button on the key, it pops itself all the way or just unlatches. So, just the latch. I've got to do the rest. Let's have a look. Teeny tiny little boot behind the back seats. But actually, you know what? For such a compact little city car, it's not bad. Unfortunately, the charging cable seems to take up 3/4 of the room of the boot, which if you take it out appears to rip the boot floor up, which has got nothing underneath it. Shall we have a look at the cable and where it plugs in? Let's have a look. Big boy. There she is. Right. Now, I don't think, let's shut that, shall we? I've got to do it myself. I don't think, it's not on the back. It's not on the back. I think it's around the front. The charging port. I think it's going to be, there it is, on the bonnet. Basically a fuel filler cap for electricity, which doesn't actually feel particularly high quality. But there's your charging port with some cheap looking sticker on it that says John Hon Vehicle Inlet. Did my best not to do a Chinese accent there. But there you go, that's where you plug it in. I'm not going to bother doing it because not much is going to happen. Pop that back in, that's for the other charging port. Shut that. There you go. It's quite a cute, nice looking thing on the outside. The other thing to check is what is there under the bonnet or in the front. So, bear with me. Now, are we going to get plastic or are we going to get something to look at? Something to look at, which I always appreciate. It is nice to see the nerve centre of a car, not just a complete full plastic shroud. And actually, it kind of looks quite cool. It looks like something Tony Stark would have in his underground lair. So I appreciate that we've got something to look at there. Not a lot to look at, but at least it's something. So inside the Leapmotor, this is when you do start to notice that this car was built to a very tight budget. The interior plastics on the door card, on the dash, on the upper dash, cheap. The steering wheel material is not too bad actually though, because when you're spinning the wheel around in your hand, it doesn't make too much noise, which compared to the BYD we'll see in a minute, is quite a nice thing to have. What else is there to note? Well, cloth seats. I don't mind a cloth seat, and actually these ones are pretty comfortable. Floor mats, they don't give you any way to secure them, so they just flop around a bit, and every time you put your feet on them when you're trying to use the pedals, they move, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. It's got normal vents which have the ability to control them manually, which I feel like should be standard in any car, but as we'll see later, it's not always. So I appreciate these. It's fine. It's quite nice and light and airy, like because it's got such slab sides, The windows are pretty much vertical. The windscreen's got quite a steep rake on it. And with the big sunroof, you get a lot of light in here. And they've also gone for quite light headlining and sun visor stuff that's got a nice big mirror. So it makes it quite a light place to be. Plus, if you do have enough, if you get fed up of the sun on your bonds and you want to shut it, you've got an electric sunshade, which you can close all the way or half the way, which is a nice feature to have. Not all cars have that either, as we'll see later. But yeah, for a cheap 15 grand compact city car, you couldn't really ask for much more in here. Okay, plastics, not so good, but seats are comfy. The seating position's quite nice. Steering wheel's pretty good. It's only got a few buttons. And she's coming. 4-door car, Leapmotor, so we should probably test the legroom in the back. Right, the seat currently is all the way back for someone who is probably a bit taller than me, so let's see what it's like. And straight away, there might be a bit of an issue here. The issue is, there's not a huge amount of legroom. So if your mate or your family member was in the front, you'd be pretty close to them. You give them a nice little head massage, nice little slap on the chops to wake them up, but you wouldn't have a particularly comfortable ride. Let me just shut this door quickly. Yeah, not a huge amount of room in the back. However, let's say someone a more normal height was in the front, which is not 3 foot. Thank you, Matt. 5'10", and the seat goes all the way forwards. Then you've got loads of room in the back. Almost a foot of space in front of my knees. Crap floor mats again, they're rubbish. But you've got electric windows back here. A Jesus handle, just in case your driver gets a bit spicy. And that's about it. The seat's quite upright and quite firm, but city car life is fine, don't mind it. We'll see what the Leapmotor is like to drive shortly, but first let's look around the much less budget BYD Seal. This single motor 308 horsepower rear wheel drive version costs just under £46,000, which is actually £6,000 more than a basic Tesla Model 3, but 5 grand less than a BMW i4. The Seal comes with an 83 kWh battery, giving a quoted range of 354 miles in this rear wheel drive version. Okay, let's have a look around the BYD Seal. This one is in actually quite a fetching shade of a shadow green. I don't mind the colour, I just appreciate cars being spec'd in any sort of colour rather than just silver, white or black, so it's quite nice to have a bit of colour on it. Now, it's obviously got keyless entry, so we could just go up to it, hit the button, handles pop out and open it that way, or if you had the BYD app on your phone, you could actually link it to the car, and apparently all you have to do, pop your phone up by the rear view mirror, it unlocks, and then inside there's a little NFC port on top of the armrest, pop your phone there, and the car will start. Quite clever. But anyway, I haven't got that. I've got a key, so car's unlocked. But let's have a look at it. Front end vibes. I'm getting Tesla and I'm getting Porsche Taycan front end. I think the front end is quite a pretty looking part of the car. Wheels are quite a nice design. Can't see much of the brake discs. Tyres, Continental Eco Contact 6s. So again, on Continentals, so it's on quality tyres from the start, which is good. And these are in a 235/45/19. So even a run-of-the-mill Chinese electric car is on 19-inch wheels these days, which is kind of nothing to be surprised at, but they still seem quite big. We'll walk around the back, I think, have a look. I'm kind of getting Peugeot, maybe Kia Stinger, maybe even Vauxhall Ampera vibes from back in the day back here. And it's got a massive diffuser with huge slats that are going to create massive downforce, which the car absolutely does not need because it's got 300 horsepower. Shall we check out the boot? Let's come and have a look. So, test it on the key, two blips, she opens up. Quite a good sized boot, although the opening for the boot is quite kind of low and far back. So to reach the stuff at the back, like this, is a bit of a challenge. But when you're in there, it is quite a good size. Now, under here, Chinese manufacturers just don't like connecting bits of their cars together, do they? Under here is your charging cable. That is the 3-pin one. I did try charging this at home overnight before this shoot today. I left it on all night, didn't charge at all. So, doesn't seem to be much use to that. I'll pop that back. The charging port on these is on the right rear quarter. We'll have a quick look at that. Unlock the car, that helps. Standard stuff. There's your blank plug for your charger. There's your other type of charger. Bosh, right there, handles are out. Yeah, nice looking thing. Shall we have a look under the bonnet? See if we can see stuff or see if we can see plastic. That's the test. Plastic, plastic. And the car telling me to build my dreams once again, or build your dreams. What's under here? Oh yeah, so under here, as we'll see in a minute on the interior, the car's got a massive panoramic roof. The Leapmotor, the cheap budget car, has an automatic electric sunshade. This does not. Instead, BYD Seal panoramic roof sunshade. There we go. But on the whole, I think a nice looking car. So inside the BYD, straight away it's a big step up from the Leapmotor, and you know what, the quality of all the materials on the door card, there's some kind of leathery stuff, there's a bit of Alcantara, kind of Alcantara suede stuff. It feels really nice, except for the steering wheel. The steering wheel, they made it out of something else, and it's a bit rough, makes it sound like I've got sandpaper hands. It's not as bad in the Leapmotor, it's just really, really loud, so when you're in the car and cruising like this, you just hear yourself on the steering wheel all the time, which is a little bit annoying. This one has got 2 contactless wireless charging points in the front. It's got this massive, big extra bit of storage under here as well. 2 cup holders. This bit on top of the armrest has got this NFC square on it. This is the bit where if you've got the phone linked up to the app, when you've got in the car with your phone, you can pop it on there and that will signify that you can start the car with your phone, which is pretty cool. Short and stubby little gear lever, which actually has got quite a nice feel and action to it. Vents. So, like I said in the Leapmotor, vents you should be able to adjust yourself. In this one, as you will notice, there's no form of manual adjustment whatsoever on the vents, which is really annoying because you want to be able to quickly point them towards you, away from you, up or down, or even shut the airflow off, but you can't do that. In true modern car fashion, where a lot of stuff is overcomplicated, you got to go into the system, you got to hit the climate menu, and then in here, you can select 5 different settings for the vents on either side of the car. So you can turn them to focus on the passenger, to focus on the driver, to swing on one side, to avoid that person, free to do what they want, or turn them off completely. And that is a bit of a pain in the arse, if I'm being honest. Seats, the seats are actually really nice and they're quite supportive. So they're quite soft and plush on the outer skin of the leather, and we kind of got some chevron, like a bit like that old Bentley we had, or the new Bentley we had, kind of that style. They're quite soft and plush to start with. Actually, there's a good bit of firmness and support when you're in them, so they feel really nice. And they've got good side bolsters, so when I've been driving the BYD, you feel really well supported in the car, which is nice. And they are electrically adjustable, so you've got obviously the standard movements, forwards, backwards, up and down, tilt the back, but there's also lumbar support, up and down, in and out on the lumbar, which is nice to have. Floor mats. Now, these are connected to the floor. They have actually got little poppers that keep them in, but they only give you half a mat these days. Whatever happened to a full mat that went up the back? You might just have noticed what the screen just did. I think I must have pressed the button. So the screen can be rotated. Now, by default, it's in landscape mode, and then you press a little button in the bottom left and it will go to portrait. I think this is probably most useful for when you've got the sat nav up, and you'll get a much broader picture of where you're going on the sat nav. It's kind of a bit of a funky feature. Does it serve a real purpose? I don't know, someone will buy it because of that probably though, won't they? So, electric car life, obviously there's no transmission tunnel, so there's that huge extra bit of storage in the back of the middle, which is really nice to have. But the best thing about being in the back of the Seal is this, the massive panoramic roof, and it spans all the way from the front to over your head. So because it stops behind the rear headrests, you can't see the back of it. So all you've got in your peripheral vision and your main vision is this massive, lovely bit of sky above you that kind of feels a bit like an aquarium. And that is a really nice feature. How it would be if it was a really, really hot day without having an automatic sunshade, I'm not sure, but we can try the other one in a minute. I have also just noticed back here that while I'm moaning about floor mats and carpets, and back here there is just one floor mat that goes across the whole thing, they have also fitted like a rubber kind of catch-all floor mat beneath that. So I guess if it gets filthy back here and you want to clean the car easily, you just take this whole rubber tray out, and when you do it, you spill all the dirt straight onto the carpet like I just did, then you have to move the car anyway. But in theory, I think you take the whole thing out, and then you can just clean that out, bang that out outside the car, and the carpet's pretty good. But you just have to be able to get it out without tipping it up, which I didn't manage just then. But the theory I like. Right, so I've talked about fitting the sunshade, so I suppose I should give it a go. Now, it comes in this bag, and rather worryingly, there's 2 parts to it, and there's some clips in here, plus there's a whole set of instructions that are in Chinese. So they're not much use to me, if I'm being honest. But do not fear, I have an engineering degree, which I got about 10 years ago, and I've forgotten every bit of it. But don't worry, I'm sure it will stand me in good stead. I reckon 2 halves. It looks like 1 half goes in the front of the panoramic roof, and 1 half goes on the back. Right, this should simply pop out of the bag, and then it should spring into life. There we go. Jump in here. And then, what do? Just push it, I guess you just push it up into the little gap, do you? There's a lot of pushing you have to do. It's up. I tell you what though, I've done it upside down, that's why it's not really going in. I think the clips only go one way, sorry. Do not fear, I have an engineering degree. There you go. How much this is going to stay there? Well, it's fairly secure. But it's a bit of a palaver, isn't it? If a Leapmotor can have an electric sunshade, why can't this? Before heading out on the road, it's time to take a look around the Jaecoo 7. This 1.5 litre petrol plug-in hybrid costs £34,500. That's £10,000 less than the equivalent hybrid Hyundai Tucson. This Jaecoo is front-wheel drive and produces 200 horsepower, doing 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds. The battery part of the hybrid is 18 kilowatt hours, and you can do around 50 miles on electric only. But you could also get a 1.6 litre turbo petrol version, and that starts at a ridiculously cheap £28,200. So the Jaecoo 7. Now I will start this bit by saying this, out of all the 3 cars we have, is the favourite car of our camera crew. That's right, isn't it? And you all came here today in this with all your kit in the back, and it swallowed it all, no dramas. So it's proven to be a bit of a hit already. Looks wise, front end has obviously got this massive big vertical grille with the huge slats in it, which is actually pretty imposing on the road. And I do quite like the kind of almost checker flag-esque design in the daytime running lights up front. That looks pretty smart. It is a big flat front end, probably not the best in the world for aero, but what SUVs these days are, they're all quite slab-sided and big up the front. Decent sized tyres, so it's got 235 50 R19, so actually the same size wheels as the BYD, and these are on a Kumo Extra, so again, a pretty decent tyre make, and they're the same size all round. It is obviously SUV style, so it's a bit jacked up, it's got a bit more ground clearance, there's a bit of a bigger gap between the arch and the wheels, but it gives it that kind of adventurous vibe that Jaecoo are saying this car is designed for those adventurous people. Handles seems to be quite a common thing these days, the old poppy out handles, so that's got those as well. And then if we come around the back, you get big Range Rover vibes around the back. I'm kind of getting a bit of a cross between a Velar and a Range Rover Sport, but I really like the way it looks. And these bits, these little reflectors here, in that it's almost a bit of a box arch type thing on there, which makes it look a little bit sporty. So I really like it. The wheel covers, you can't see anything of the brake discs, but for aero purposes, it's a bit more aerodynamic, a bit more efficient. We're kind of used to that from electric or hybrid cars these days. I think it's quite a nice looking thing. Shall we have a look in the boot? So we'll give it a press on the key. Boot pops open all the way this time. And it is a good sized boot in the back of the Jaecoo. Now it's a hybrid, this one, so obviously you've still got your charging cable being a plug-in hybrid. It does have quite a lot of storage under the false floor here, but strangely, none of it's being used for anything really. There is a 3-pin socket there as well, but you kind of think, why couldn't they have made those cutouts big enough to fit that in rather than leaving that out here? Don't know, it seems like it's taking up a bit of space unnecessarily. Now these also have a feature which Jaecoo say is, for those of you who are into projectors instead of your TVs, on the back of this thing here, come on, on the back of this we've got a white screen. So in theory, if you're out camping or you're on the beach with your mates and you bring that essential camping item, the projector, you could plug it in and you can clip this up here and then you've got somewhere to project onto. Anyone going to do that? Don't know. So inside the Jaecoo, and it's a pretty nice place to be. Interior quality of all the materials in general feels pretty good. They kind of got a bit of squidgy, not leather, something else there. The top of the door cards feels nice, and also where you would rest your elbow is quite nice and cushioned as well. This bit of the dash is pretty good. They've got a light all the way along here that you can change the colour of, any colour you want in the spectrum. The bit down here where your kind of ankle and your knee is a little bit cheaper. You don't really see that quite so much. And also the A-pillars, they feel and sound a little bit cheaper as well. This has got the lighter headlining in it as well, which I think does make the car feel quite nice and light. At the moment, we've got the sunroof closed, but unlike the BYD, at the click of a button, open it up, and again, it goes pretty much the whole way from the front to the back. It doesn't go quite as far forward as in the BYD, but it goes over the headrest of the back. So if you press it once, it opens the front half, and if you press it again, it opens the back half for the rear passengers as well, which is quite nice. Now, chargers and stuff, so we only got one wireless charger up front, but it does actually also have a cooling port next to it, which is quite good to keep your phone cool while it's charging. And then down in this big massive storage cubby hole down here, there's a USB-A, a USB-C, and a 12-volt cigarette lighter as well, so you're not short of places to charge your stuff. In the big centre armrest, which is actually really deep, see, that deep, that is actually slightly ventilated as well. Steering wheel feels good, the material on it feels better than it does in the BYD, and I think is a little quieter, which is nice. And then my pet peeve, the vents, the Jaecoo have got it right. So good old fashioned vents, up and down, left and right, you can slide those manually without having to go into any sort of system, which is nice. The seats feel nice. There's not quite as much side bolster support as there is in the BYD, but it's not quite as sporty as that car and a bit less powerful, so you shouldn't in theory need it so much. They are electrically adjustable on the side, and they also have lumbar support, but they also have an adjustment point on the side bolster in the middle, so if your passengers want to play havoc with you, they can adjust your seat, only for the passenger though, whilst you're driving. The driver's seat doesn't have one up here. They're also heated and ventilated, so if you go into the climate control menu, you've got 3 levels of heating and 3 levels of ventilation. So you can cool your gooch as much as you want, which is nice on a day like this. No one wants a sweaty gooch today. So when you have electrically opened the sunroof blind, this has actually got a sunroof that, believe it or not, you can actually open. So the other button up here, 1 is for tilt, 2 is for open, and it just opens the front half, and you have to keep your finger on it the whole way. But then you get the actual outside air in the car. And this seems to be a rare feature these days. A sunroof that is not just panoramic, but that opens as well. So if you're the proper captain, I'm the captain now. Onwards! Back seat to the Jaecoo. At the moment, this seat in front of me is all the way back. But, as we saw earlier, those buttons on the side mean I can slide it all the way forwards. And then you get lots of lovely legroom. A lot of legroom, in fact, it just keeps going for quite a long time. There we go, you can fully stretch out there. No transmission tunnel again, obviously, so nothing to worry about. This one being front wheel drive, no prop shaft going to the rear, so lots of additional space there. Sunroof, nice and big. Because the front half opens, obviously you've got the bar across, so unlike the BYD, you haven't got one seamless, nice panoramic bit of glass over you, and it's a little bit narrower, it doesn't come out quite so far, but it's nice to have above you. I wonder if I can get her to close the sun blind from back here. What do you reckon? There's a bit of sun in my eyes. Hello, Jaecoo.
I'm listening.
Please close the sun blind.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
What else would you say?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
Exactly
that is it. Yeah.
There's no other way about
No, that is it. Close the sun blind.
I'm sorry. It's beyond my ability.
She can't do it. Computer says no. With the Jaecoo voice command completely refusing to help me out, it's time to see what the cars are like on the road. Let's start with the most expensive, the BYD. So we're in the Seal. What's it like to drive? Actually pretty pleasant. It's pretty comfortable. The ride's pretty good. The visibility out the car, front is good. The rear window isn't huge, so you don't get a huge amount of visibility out the back. I always have my seat as low as it will go. It doesn't seem to go that low on this, but because it's got such a short, slopey down front end, even at the lowest seat setting, you feel like you can see the ground right in front of the car, which is really good actually for knowing where the front end is. Because I have my seat low, I can't see so much out the back that close to me. If I was a bit higher, I probably could. Let's see how high the seat goes, shall we? Going up, going up, going up. Jeez, goes quite high. Going up. There we go. Quite high. So if I was an absolute midget, I'd be fine. I would have to adjust my mirror slightly. Anyway, let's put it back to where it was. So, just over 300 horsepower in this rear-wheel drive single motor version. And it's got 3 driving modes. It's got Eco, it's got Sport, and it's got Normal. In Eco, standard thing with all kinds of electric cars, it just really dulls the throttle response. So you put your foot down, not a lot happens. Eventually, it kind of gathers some speed, but it's trying to reduce how much of that battery you're using. In Normal, you get a little bit more response from it. It sharpens up a bit. And then in Sport mode, the top of the instrument screen goes red and the throttle becomes really sensitive. Like you just touch it a tiny amount like that. It's really hard to be smooth with it. And when you do put your foot down, it gives you an instant shove of torque and power, and it goes pretty well actually. So 300 horsepower. Delivers you down the road quite nicely in Sport mode. On this slightly bumpy B road, I feel like the suspension, the rebound damping, so how much it stops the car just floating up into the air over bumps, that could be a bit better because it feels like you're always kind of floating around a bit. But that's only a minor criticism really. The ride is pretty good, I'll be honest. What I don't like, the instrument display in front of me is quite small, and I feel like the font on it, they've chosen like the most basic Microsoft Word 1998 font to use in it, which really makes it look like a cheap and nasty thing. The main display in the middle is actually a lot nicer. It feels like a proper modern tablet. This thing here does look a bit crap, I'll be honest. So the other thing with the displays, you can choose whether the middle one is on just a fixed brightness or an adaptive brightness to the darkness outside. This one in front of you, the instrument display, you can only have on adaptive. So if you go through under some trees or under a tunnel and the lights come on, the screen goes really, really dark. So to the point where you can barely read it. But this one always stays brighter. And it's actually quite distracting how much this one changes brightness. That is annoying. I found that quite annoying. The brakes. So I find that at really, really low speeds, the brakes have a bit too much servo assistance. They're a bit over sharp. But then when you get going, you seem to have a strange amount of pedal travel on the brakes before they really start to work hard. So let's test how well the brakes work. So we're doing 60 and on the brakes. Very good. That stopped really quickly. Hazard lights came on. Hazard lights go off when you pull away. I mean, that felt like a very capable stop. And you didn't really feel the ABS coming in much through the brake pedal. It was working, but it wasn't too intrusive on the brake pedal. Steering feel, I mean, there's a bit of feel. You don't really get any idea of the little bumps and crests on the road through the steering so much. I was never expecting to really, to be honest. But it's fine. It means you don't pull around too much on the road, over the crests and over the cambers. I'll be honest, it's fine. It's a nice thing to drive. Obviously, electric cars, no noise, no engagement. It would be quite nice to have the option to turn on some kind of electric noise. I've played with all the settings. I can't find anything. But that's what it is. The BYD drove really well, and with the exception of the font on that instrument screen, it felt really high quality. It's a definite alternative to a Tesla, and I'll be honest, I forgot I was driving a Chinese electric car that's cheaper than the German EVs we're used to seeing on our roads. Right, the Leapmotor. This is cheap car life. Everything does have that look and feel of slight cheapness about it, and we're going to put the 94 horsepower to the test in a bit of a test drive. So I'm in it, I'm buckled up, let's fire it up. That's kind of cool. I like that noise. Right. Oh, the steering's gone very light straight away. Pop it in gear. How do you put it in gear? Oh, stalk. It's like a Mercedes. They've gone full Mercedes spec. with a... Oh, and it makes a noise. Now, the BYD doesn't make any kind of whooshy noise that I could find when you're kind of manoeuvring and stuff. Now, my seat position, I'm as low as I can go. The seat is rock hard. I'm quite upright, but that's all part of it. I'm glad it makes a noise. Ooh. Toyota Aygo, look. Fellow cheap car enthusiast, although I'm in the quite the electric version. Right, it's beeping at me already. What is the steering doing? What's it beeping at? The lane keeping assist activated. Immediately, even on this country road, I'm in my lane and I just feel the steering wheel constantly tweaking away, doing stuff which I don't really like. But yeah, it's got great visibility, slab-sided, windows all round. The windscreen is quite vertical, and you kind of feel like you're sat right at the front of the car. You almost feel like your feet are by the front wheels, which is actually quite nice, makes it feel quite nice and compact. The sunroof's nice, makes it feel really light and airy in here, and actually I like that not everything is completely black, like the headlining's light, so it brightens up the interior quite nicely. I like it. My single wiper, I can switch that off now. And it's very basic, like there's only 2 stalks to worry about. Right, national speed limit zone coming up. So, deploy 94 horsepower. You know what? That's pretty good. That is pretty good. That's much better than I thought it would feel. What about around the corner? Fucking hell. Jesus! That was tighter than I thought. Yeah, the corner felt a bit fast, but the car clung on, which I'm grateful for. It does... Oh, the steering... Stop trying to... Like, it's trying to put me in the other... What's it doing with the lane assist? It's constantly, like, wrenching at the wheel. Oh, here he goes, look. Come on then, fella. You think you're fast? I've deployed the Leapmotor. I'm still deploying the Leapmotor. Still deploying. Jeez. I must be conscious of the fact that this has only got a small battery and not very good range, so I'll probably slow it down a bit. But actually, even at speed, you know what? The ride on this bumpy road, for a little city compact car, you can't complain too much. It's not harsh. What you can complain about is this frigging lane assist that is constantly tweaking at the wheel. What if I just let go of the wheel? What happens then? Well, you're not helping me now, are you, mate? Look, why are you putting me left? Stop going left. Straight. Straight. Good. There's no switches for the lights. Hang on. You can flash here. You can put your full beam on. But the actual headlight switches aren't even on the stalks. They're on the display here. So obviously these days you just leave them on auto. But say you didn't want to put it on auto, you want to leave it on dipped. You've got to go into here to change the headlights. Driving settings, right. Standard, Eco, Sport. We've been in Eco. Even Eco is quite punchy. Let's put it in Sport, shall we? See how it goes. National speed limit. We're in Sport mode. It feels exactly the same as it did in the other mode. But I'm saying that the throttle is a little bit more responsive. I'm going to put it back in Eco because that did nothing for me. Steering mode. Let's change that to Comfort. Oh wow, it's gone so light. Go, go, go. Full power! It takes off quite well. Foot to the floor. Jeez. Traction control came on there. The brake pedal's got a really strange feel to it, actually, which I'm... And you can kind of hear the brake servo or something working every time you tap the brake pedal, which is kind of cheap car life. Right, time to test the brakes. So, doing 60 miles an hour, and... Nice! ABS definitely kicked off, but it stopped on a dime. That was great. Wandered a little bit, but stopped really quickly. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Did have to push quite hard, but... Hello?
Do you need to hire police or ambulance?
Sorry?
Emergency, which service?
No, I don't need emergency.
You don't need an emergency service.
No, I don't. No emergency, sorry.
I'll leave the call in. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye. Oh, God. How did that happen? Was it because we did an emergency stop? So if you do an emergency stop, it turns out the police are coming to get you. It's pretty good, you know, for a 15 or 16 grand car that will do 100 and something miles on a battery charge. Just turn the friggin' lane assist off. The Leapmotor's cheap, but it's cheerful. It's built to a budget, but drives pretty well, and for less than 16 grand, there's really nothing to complain about. So finally, it was time to see how the Jaecoo drove, but immediately there was an issue. Right, I should have done this before I got going, but I do need to check. Sorry. First of many bonk. You have been distracted. Please focus on the driving. I mean distracted because I'm trying to find the seat controls, mate. Down here. Where are they? Down here. Right, let's go a bit lower. Straight away though, you do feel like you're sat up much higher than you would be if you were in a normal saloon car. You don't feel quite as high on the road as you would in a Range Rover, I don't think, because it's not quite that jacked up, but you do have a slightly elevated presence on the road. Visibility. Out the front, it's good. Out the back, it's not good. That rear window is tiny. It's like a little porthole. Small rectangular porthole, so you can't see a huge amount on the back. And the middle headrest, you have been distracted. I'm not distracted. I'm looking out the rear view mirror, mate. You have been distracted. I'm not distracted. I'm looking at the rear view mirror. Is it this? Is this the sensor? The only thing distracting me is the sign on the screen that says I'm being distracted. Shut up! I'm not distracted. You've been distracted for a long time. I literally looked at the screen. And now I looked at you and you told me I'm being distracted. I'm not distracted. You're distracted. You're distracted me. I'm not distracted. Oh my God. That is the most infuriating thing ever. Oh my God. What's that now? Shut up. Focus on the road. I'm looking at the screen because you put everything in here, mate. I've got to look at this to change anything. All right? It's your design, not mine. I'm just trying to make the car work. How do you turn this off? I've got to turn that off. Driver assistance. Shut up. Driver assistance. Right. Shut up. Focus on the road. Oh my God. This is so annoying. Right. Driver assistance. It's got to be some attention crap. Intelligent speed control, integrated cruise assist, drive away information. This is ridiculous. The amount of stuff. Boot. Driver monitoring system alert. When disabled, fatigue and driving distraction are not available. Yes. Thank God for that. Right, now we can get back on with the task in hand of actually seeing what this car's like to drive. So this Jaecoo, it's got a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine with an 18 kilowatt hour battery attached to it. So it's a petrol hybrid. Gives it about 200 horsepower in total. Apparently on the battery alone, it can do about 50 miles. I'll say the first thing actually is that the ride, and this is after having got out of the Leapmotor, the ride is not great. Actually, over those harsh bumps, they're kind of like slightly sunken drain covers. The whole car shudders and shakes. Like it's not very well put together, actually. That is very noticeable straight away. Over the kind of smoother bumps and undulations, it's okay. It's fairly firm. It doesn't really float around. The BYD had this sense that it would kind of float when it was lifting up over a bump. This doesn't have that the same, so it feels a bit tighter in that respect. But yeah, over those first few harsh bumps, the whole car shudders really horribly. And the next thing you notice is the steering. Standard stuff, lane assist is playing havoc with trying to actually keep it in the lane. But the steering is so light. To be fair, we are in eco mode. First of all, let's put our foot down, see how it goes. 200 horsepower, petrol hybrid. Goes fine, really. Got up to 60. Not too badly at all. So we're in EV only mode. The engine is not doing anything. We're at national speed limit sign, so I put my foot down. Punchy. Goes well. Kind of feels like it goes just as well as it does when the engine's on, so let's put the engine on. Right, both are on. Go back down to 30 where we were before. And then punch it again. Feels exactly the same. Doesn't feel any faster with the engine, so it makes you think the engine's pretty much there to charge the battery and not a lot else. Right, let's pop it in sport mode. Put it in sport mode.
Normal mode.
Not normal.
Sport mode.
Sport mode. Oh yeah, throttle response much more sensitive. Seems to go just about the same as it did in the other modes. Steering's got a bit heavy and a bit sludgy. Brakes feel quite sharp. Stick it around the old corner. Understeers a lot. Front wheel drive. This throttle response is sharp. It is punchy. But slow down a bit. Yeah, good throttle response. Like, you don't notice this car's got an engine. It just feels like an electric car when you're driving it. I'll be honest, it's not a Range Rover to drive. The ride quality is the worst thing about it. Doesn't ride well at all. But the rest of it, you know, it drives well. The little hybrid's quite punchy. Seems quite frugal. Visibility's alright if you're looking this way. It's not bad. It's not bad for the price, for half the price of a Range Rover Sport. It's a bit of a bargain, isn't it? And the most important thing, you have to turn that friggin' driver distraction warning off, because that was so intrusive, and every time I looked away for a split second, it flashed up. For some reason, I've just got in the Jaecoo again to move it, and the handbrake, normally the handbrake is just like an auto on-off thing. There isn't actually, as far as I can see, a handbrake button, but it seems to be stuck on. So if I just gently push the throttle down, yeah, and the front wheels will just drag its arse along. What's going on? What's going on? It shouldn't do that. Adventurous off-road vehicle, yeah? We started this video by asking, should you buy a Chinese car and are they any good? Well, I spent a day with 3 of them, and I think the answer to that question is yes. They are a great alternative to the established brands that are much more expensive. I mean, the Jaecoo is pretty much half the price of a Range Rover Velar. Our whole crew love it. I think it's a pretty decent car. There's not a lot not to like with it. The Leapmotor is a great little compact city car, and it's 16 grand. I'd choose the BYD. I think it's a great all-round, it's comfortable, it's nice to be in, and it feels like a decent quality car. So next time you think about buying a car, consider one of these, but maybe just don't reveal any government secrets while you're in it, because you never know who's listening.